So before we begin rearranging equations or rearranging terms in equations, we must define the word term as it applies in math. So in equations, terms are separated by the plus sign, the minus sign, and the equal sign. So let us consider this equation. 5x plus 5 equals 20. 5x is really 5 multiplied by x. This is a contraction. This is considered one term. Plus 5, our second term, equal 20, our third term. Here we have another equation. 5 divided by x. Again, this is considered one single term. Plus 5, our second term, equal 20, our third term. So once again, we have 3 terms in total. Now, your instructions for these type of questions may vary. They may ask you to make x the subject of the equation, or they might simply say solve for x if that is possible. In either case, the process is the same. Let's consider this equation. 5x plus 5 equals 20. So the first thing I do, I want to identify the total number of terms. So I have 5x, I have 5, plus 5 to be exact, and positive 20. Now, identify the number of terms. I have 3 terms. Now I want to identify the terms that do not contain x. So the second step, any term that does not contain x must be moved to the other side of the equation. Positive 20 on the right is already on the other side. We don't need to do anything there. However, plus 5 does not contain the term x, and it needs to be moved to the other side of the equation. So we want to move positive 5 to the other side of the equation because it does not contain x. So when we do that, we move it to the other side, and what happens is the positive changes to negative. Right? So we now have 20 minus 5 on the right hand side. On the left hand side, we are left with 5x. For the last step, we move the coefficient of x, which is 5. Now again, this is 5 multiplied by x, or if you like, x multiplied by 5. So we're going to move that to the other side. So we move the coefficient 5 to the other side. X multiplied by 5 becomes divided by 5. Yeah? So now we can finally solve for x. So our final answer is x is equal to 3. So let us take a review of what happened. The first thing we did, we identified the number of terms, 3. Our goal is to have x on its own on one side of the equation, which meant we had to move the plus 5 term to the other side and the multiply by 5 to the other side in that order. We moved plus 5 to the other side, 20 minus 5 became 15, and then we moved the coefficient multiplied by 5 to the other side, it became divided by 5. We now had x on the left hand side on its own, which is the point of this exercise, and 15 divided by 5 gave us an answer of 3. Now let's look at another example. We have minus 3x minus 5 is equal to minus 20. Again, we have 3 terms. Minus 3x is one term, minus 5 is the second, and minus 20 is the third term. The goal is to have x by itself on one side of the equation to make x the subject of the formula. There are two things that need to be moved. We need to move the negative 5 to the other side. We need to move negative 3 to the other side. We are first going to move the term that does not contain x. So we're going to move negative 5 to the other side of the equation first. So we're going to move the negative 5 first because that is a term not containing x. So we move the negative 5 to the other side and the sign changes. So from negative 5 we come positive 5. So just to be clear, we move the negative 5 to the other side. Our next goal is to move the negative 3, or more specifically, multiplied by negative 3 to the other side. Before we do that, we simplify the right-hand side. Minus 20 plus 5 becomes negative 15. Now, when we move multiply by negative 3 to the other side, it becomes divide by negative 3. A common mistake that students make here at this point is that they also change negative 3 to positive 3. This is incorrect. You can only change one thing at a time. The precedent is you change multiply by negative 3 to divide by negative 3. We are changing multiply to divide. We are not changing the sign. We now have x on its own on one side of the equation, which was our goal. And we can go ahead and solve. Negative 15 divided by negative 3 will be positive 5. And that is our answer. So to track the changes that we made, the first thing we did, we moved the negative 5 to the other side because that term did not contain x. The second thing we moved was the coefficient of x. Multiply by negative 3 became divide by negative 3. And then finally, we solve for x. We're going to stop there and we'll continue in part 2.